debate would derail his presidential bid like it did for Raila Odinga in 2013?
Actually, this is a very important question. There are people who think by starting creating problems and differences in that area of Sierra Leone, Kitoben, and Mau Trust Land around that area, that the deputy president will lose votes. Let me make it abundantly clear. The deputy president will be voted by the people of Kenya based on the manifesto of Jubilee. And regardless of all these issues we are debating, people can see through the political gimmicks that people are playing. What we are doing is not looking for votes, because the people have already accepted to support.
You think this issue of the Mau Trust Land is a political gimmick and not about the environment?
Some people think that by removing people, if it was about the environment, nothing would have stopped anybody from coming from a policy paper, tabling it in cabinet, being approved by parliament, and settling people. But when it is done in a brutal manner, and you hear the undertones, people have seen. I saw one member of parliament who is for Jubilee going around saying, "Oh, why hasn't the deputy president settled the people in Mau?" He doesn't even understand which one is in Mau Forest, which one is in Trust Land. The point is that because that is the only political scores they are looking for. For us, our interest is not the politics. We are doing this because, as I told you, it's about the pain of subjecting innocent citizens of this republic to misery and pain, because and yet we are in government.
That's fair enough. We want to conclude this segment by just talking about now the larger Mau, not just the Trust Land, the Mau complex, the 22 blocks. Should any of the people, especially former and current public officials and their families who were found to have illegally or irregularly acquired land in the Mau, be allowed to keep it?
Until the courts declare otherwise, yes. I don't believe, you know, Anne, there are many people who hold big positions in this country, top in this government, in Kibage's government, in Moi's government, in Kenyatta's government, who own unexplained large tracts of land. If we start misbehaving as a nation and start saying, this title is the illegal one, this one is legal, there will be chaos in the country. You know, the reason why title is there is, and a sanctity, when you hear the word sanctity of title, is to avoid a situation where there is anarchy in the country and the law of jungle. Because if we are going to say today, because, and I want to tell my friends to be very cautious about this. If you are in government today and you have trappings of power, you can protect yourself. Yeah, don't behave like you will be there tomorrow. You must do things for consistency. You will be revisited, does it? You must do things for consistency's sake, so that it doesn't matter if this your enemy who has a large tracts of land and has a title, follow the due process of law.
And that's okay. And I suppose you're talking about land in general, but right now I want to just be specific to the Mau because of its critical importance to our country's survival. So do you believe, you've said that they should go to court. So unless it's proved otherwise.
There are two ways. You either go to court to declare the title is irregular,
right.
Or if you believe that the title is regular, because, you know, people like President Moi have large tracts of land there, or the neighboring the Mau place where they have to keep that.
Should his family be allowed to keep that land?
Yes. For me, as long as there is...
In spite of the findings of the Ndongo land report, the Prime Minister's task force, the resettlement that didn't happen of the Ogieks.
Remember, the Ndongo land reports indicted everybody, including the family of the current president, the family of former president, you know, it's named so many... Should any of them be allowed to keep it? I think as long as they have titles that are provided by the government of Kenya to avoid a situation of creating anarchy in this nation, unless they voluntarily surrender those titles. As a lawyer, and I'm speaking this now purely as a lawyer, not just a political activist, for the consistency of the importance of a title, we must follow the due process of law.
Whose responsibility is it when the government has these documents, which itself is sanctioned either through Parliament or through the Prime Minister's task force to implement it, to act on it? And why has that action not been taken?
As you can see, Anne, the answer is as good as you can guess.
No, you're the government.
If a report, you know, for me, I own nothing, so I have nothing to fear. If a report indicts people by virtue of their parents and relatives and past governments having large tracts of land and so forth. And those people are still in government, there are other people associated in government, and so you see, literally, it becomes difficult to make certain decisions. But
you're the leader of the majority in the Senate. For instance, because you're so concerned about how people are removed from these areas, even if they are important, that there must be dignity for them. Why, as the leader of the majority in the Senate, knowing fully seized of these documents, not then taken the next step to move to have them implemented, unless you believe that they are not correct?
As I said, it's not just the documents you mentioned, there is also TJRC report.
And TJRC,
that all these are, that talks about, you know, how land was moved, how people moved from one area of Kenya to another area, other people displaced.
Who should implement them? Who should make sure it's implemented?
It is, unfortunately, it is us. And,
who is us? Who is the person
Us is President Uhuru Kenyatta and his executive and all of us who are in the legislature. And unfortunately, Anne, I must admit, it's a very complex issue. As I told you,
what is complex about what is right and wrong?
There is complexity.
Why does it become complex when political families are involved? If a regular Kenyan held a title which was even thought to have the whiff of irregularity, we would see, you know, police officers outside their gate throwing them out, you know, in an instant. But when it becomes about political families, it becomes a complex process. Not so complex.
Can I speak for myself?
No, speak as the government. Speak as the leader of the majority.
Yes. Let me speak for myself, as both the leader of majority, but as myself. If I held any land that I suspected that they are in so many reports, and already, because sometimes I see leaders speaking in public saying, you know, if we could be nice as Kenyans, we could be honest to one another. If I held land that I think that it was illegally acquired by my parents or by my grandparents or whatever, as Kipchumba, I would have returned back to government. But if we go, and I'm speaking for
as the leader of the majority,
if we want to take that land back under our constitution, Article 40, the same constitution that says the people of Mau trust land, their titles must be protected, is the same constitution that says those people who have thousands and thousands of tracts of land in this country must be protected, unfortunately. And there is no way to bypass it. If I had evidence that Anne owns large tracts of land, the only place I was going to declare your title illegal is just to go to court of law. And unfortunately,
will the Senate do anything? Let's conclude here. As for your own personal responsibility, as the leader of the majority, as a person who was moved from his home, the son, you said, of a squatter.
Yeah.
What is your individual responsibility in this matter? Are you going to do anything about it, or will you just keep kicking the can? No, it's the responsibility of the president,
unfortunately,
or the deputy, yet you hold substantive office.
My job, Anne, is legislative. It is not for absence of the law. The law is there. The report that was presented to the president by TJRC is there for implementation. Little is expected of me. Much is expected of the executive.
Keriako Tobiko would be in the right position if he moved in on the larger Mau into the portions that the former the retired president's family owns?
He would be only in the right situation if he went through a court process, unfortunately.
All right.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere should maybe do something about land ownership in this country. Kipchumba Murkomen is in the ring. When we return, we talk about corruption, we talk about the division of revenue bill and the